Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, I can't hear you.
I said, how are you doing?
Hmm.
Can
Say
you?
something. Yep. Do you hear a lot of background noise?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm giving people just a couple more minutes and then we will jump in.
Okay. I'm gonna shut my door.
Okay. Are you at the gym or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that red wall behind you. That's cool.
Yep.
That's great.
It's my office. It's my office here. Getting the other one going though.
I need to get to the gym.
Oh, stop. I say that to myself every day. I need to get to the gym.
I know I have a lot of respect for people that can do it. If I'm, not at work or with my kids, I'm pretty tired. So it's like the last thing I think about.
Well, I was in fitness like for my 20s and then early 20s. And then when I was 25, had, my second child. And it was just like, all right, it's just mom time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
until
For
he got
sure.
older. And then I went back to some me time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So totally get it. You got to do what you got to do. It's hard to juggle everything.
It was. It is. Totally understand.
Hmm. Okay, what page did we leave off on?
So, if you want to go by the book, we're on page 21, kind of.
Okay,
We're
that's
skipping around a little bit, but I'll do a quick recap
okay.
and then we'll kind of get back into the material. So, I'm kind of wanting this one to be a little bit more like open discussion. So, I'm going to ask lots of questions to you guys and just kind of get, kind of like how we did part one at the main office, just
Right.
round table.
Well, while we're waiting, I'm going to go grab something else, okay?
Okay.
I'll be
Yeah, we
right back.
got about one more minute or two.
Okay. Got to have my Java.
Yeah, me too. I drink coffee so I can do it sometimes. All
Mm.
right, let's go ahead and get started. Just because I'm conscientious about your guys' time too. So thanks for coming back for buyer's conversion part two. We had a really great part one at our main office on Tuesday, and we had several people there. It turned out to be a very roundtable discussion. So I wanted to do a quick recap of that. So just to quickly recap, we discussed the importance of having a strategy and a process for buyers. It kind of sets you apart from the competition by allowing you to have conversations that show your value as a consultant. We talked about how buyers have a risk associated with them, and by having a system and a process for your buyer segment of your business, that can kind of weed out those buyers who are not ready, willing, and able, and it kind of lets you avoid wasting your time as well. We also talked about ways to communicate with buyers, doing calls, text messaging, and emails. Some agents are utilizing BombBomb now or video of some kind, but overall finding like a unique way to keep that conversation flowing, but also to set you apart and show that you're going to go kind of above and beyond, work with their schedule, things like that. We also talked about the impact of COVID and that our agents were finding that buyers were still coming and still looking regardless of what was going around. COVID has made buyers more prominent and like more with real quick time frames. So just be aware that, you know, with this crazy market right now, we could have several multiple offers like we're seeing that can continue. Inventory can kind of be where it is now, where it's a little bit harder to land. So just be aware of who you're working with as buyers, making sure that you're kind of pre-qualifying them ahead of time. Some other things that we talked about, getting into kind of the 5 stages of converting a buyer, was asking for the meeting and servicing the lead the minute that you get it. Also following up and like keeping that communication, that's key. So make sure that you're asking your clients what works with their schedule, how you want them or how they want you to communicate with them. Things like that can show that you really care. Finding ways to qualify your buyers, again, ahead of time on person or via the phone. Another way to do this is to have a criteria sheet and asking all the questions you can kind of ahead of time. That'll also help save time for you as well. And the book had a great criteria sheet. I think it was on page 20. So you can take that and make it your own. There's also several online. We also talk about building rapport. Do what you're comfortable with, and that showcases kind of who you are. Be yourself and don't be afraid to like walk away from a buyer who's being stubborn or somebody that's really clashing with your personality. If that win-win isn't there, then, you know, try not to waste your time with it. And when the buyer does come to meet you in the office for that first initial meeting, because we want to try to set the meeting and get them to come in and meet with you and get all of those, have you the opportunity to get all those questions out. But when they do come in, try to involve your whole office, like have your admin at the front door make a good impression and then continue it all the way through that meeting. That can also show some pretty good professionalism. Especially around here, it's really hard right now with meeting people. So I think if we could just go above and beyond a little bit, then that's always a good thing. Utilize and build your own buyer's packets. That's always a good idea. Consider things like marketing materials, what to expect sheets. I know Ann Kay, one of the classes that we did this class, she talked about how she did like a what to expect from me as your agent sheet. So I thought that was really cool. And then also paperwork to just kind of seal the deal while you're there with your buyers, like, especially a buyer's agency. If you can get that one signed, that will secure you as their agent. So finally, we talked about about roles and expectations for both the agents and the clients. Some agents use, you know, expectation sheets or role sheets. Other agents, you know, they don't have to, so don't feel like you have to talk about roles and expectations, but I think it's always important when you're having that conversation with your buyers. You know, this is what you can expect from me and everything that I'm going to do for you as your agent, as your real estate consultant. Also, we talked about buyers agencies. You know, like I said, try to get one signed. Some agents, they don't get buyer's agency signed. Others, they try to do it at the time of when the contract is signed. I personally try to push our agents to get one. I mean, like I said, it only secures your position as the agent. So if you feel comfortable or even want to like practice different creative ways to kind of slide a buyer's agency in, you know, we can definitely do that. So now we're going to look at like our first meeting. We kind of talked about it, but we're going to pick back up with some of the post-conversational activities that we do before like we go show property. Does anybody have any questions about anything on that recap? No. Okay. Sorry, quick cup of coffee. So post-conversational activities, like I said, we wanted to bring back and discuss, you know, what we're doing before we're showing property. So you've met with the buyer, they've sat in your office and everything. You've kind of figured out what property, what range they're looking for as far as what they're interested to go look at. and then you kind of took a break in between meetings so you could pull properties probably, and now they're coming back for them to get in the car with you for you to go show property. So like, what are you working on in between the first meeting and then like when they come back to show property? Are you, do like in between meetings, are you sending them a thank you card, creating a file, obviously pulling property to be shown?
I haven't done that yet, but yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
I mean, I would be creating them a file, and then I'd also be looking at more things that's along their criterias.
Yep, absolutely. Maybe even consider things like if they've given you an indication about where they might be financially, you could work with them, in between communicating with lenders or getting them with the right lender if you wanted to. Verifying price always, or at least their price range that they're considering. And then, like you said, finding homes that meet that criteria. So those are things that you can do in between. Also, just maybe even a thank you or a thank you video for meeting with you initially. So now, your buyers are now meeting with you again before jumping in the car to show property. Are you guys doing any recap with them before you get them in the car? I mean, are you sitting them back down in the office or conference room?
I always print out all the sheets and have them kind of re-look over them before we go spend time to make sure, I'm not wasting my time, we're not wasting their time, making sure it's everything they want before we even look.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, sitting them down, maybe going over their wants and needs again too, that they put on that criteria sheet, like can't live without a master bedroom suite, or whatever that might be, just making sure that those are still where they, want them to be. And like you said, Paige, going over the property that you've kind of printed out and getting rid of the ones, you could have buyers sitting at the table with you that are just like, oh, I don't really like this one, even from that form. So you just get it out of the packet.
And I like to make sure that they have all their financing figured out. I mean, especially in this market, because with a lot of my buyers, we know what we want, and if it's on the market, it's gone that day. So I like to make sure that they are ready to put in an offer before we even look at it. They have everything together.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. I love that. Going over any financing, again, making sure that they're ready, willing, and able. That's always a good thing. A couple other things that you could do too. You could ask for a copy of their driver's license just as an extra protection for your office. You could also go over like the sales contract too. Like if you guys do find a house that you fall in love with today, here's kind of what this looks like, or what we'll do to submit an offer on it. So does anybody else have anything that they can think of before you're actually getting into a car? Paige, real quick, because you were kind of talking about your showing packages, what do you include in those or have thought about including?
Let me get it out. It's right here, so I can just. Are we talking like about buying or just what I take to showings?
Yeah, just kind of what you include in yours. Some people include like maybe some tax information or.
Yeah, I print out everything on MLS. So any seller's disclosures, any disclosures they have in there at all, tax information. I get on and print the property so we know, where how much property they're going to have. And I kind of try to print out any available information there is, so we're ready for any questions.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. And the more that you can be prepared like that, like you said, Paige, it kind of alleviates some objections because you might be able to have an answer right then and there, or at least something that shows a little bit more value as you are trying to be the professional and get them to, pick you as an agent. So those are all great things. Before you go to the car too, do you guys talk about anything or does your office have anything for like safety, agent safety?
Yeah, I carry.
Oh, okay.
We kind of try to let each other know, hey, I'm going to this property. If I don't come back, you might want to call the cops.
Right. Yeah, and I know some offices, I mean, us personally in our organization, we've been lucky enough to not have anything serious happen, but it can happen. So I always like to throw agent safety into this class because, you know, you are probably having people you don't know in the car with you or going somewhere, you know, that may be way out in the middle of nowhere. So obviously it is an important topic to discuss, but I would recommend, like with your office, if you don't have anything in place, like maybe coming up with like a code word that you could text, you know, back and forth to know what that means, or a phone call. Kelly just said agent safety can come from having them drive their own car. I don't transport anyone. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You can do that as well. What did you say, Paige?
I don't ride with them in their own car either.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Also a good thing. So just, you know, be mindful about it. Be smart, you know, pay attention to your surroundings and things like that. But I like to throw that in this class as well because, you know, you got to talk about it. So, okay. So what are you doing when you get them in the car or you know, you're getting to the property and you're pulling up to that property? Are you talking about curb appeal? Like walk me through going to the first house.
So usually I drive separate and I like to go around the neighborhood just so when they follow me, if they have any questions, I already know ahead of time what is around. But I like to get there early and open everything up so it looks presentable. You can see the lake, it's bright.
That's a great idea. Does anybody else have anything on what they do for like pulling up to the property? I mean, I know that like Jeff likes to express how he needs to like have a co-pilot, and other agents have stated that they like play a tour guide kind of on the way. This is obviously if you have people in the car with you. If you show up together, make immediate comments about parking, view, etc., is what Kelly said. Yeah, actually, like focus on the curb appeal, what they think about the outside of the property. Because if they don't like it from the outside, then don't even waste your time going inside, kind of thing. Make it not an option. Jeff even says that he like talks about how if they don't like it from the curb appeal or whatever, he'll actually like rip it up in front of them just to make a statement. And Kelly, you're right too, getting them engaged in the conversation. That's always a good thing. Let them self-discover, let them point out the things that they like or maybe don't like, and you just kind of sit back and do that. Were you saying something, Paige? Sorry.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Also, I do like the idea of when agents, like if you do have them in the car playing like a tour guide, especially if they're not from here, being able to, you know, talk about the area as you're driving through or show them different things that they might not know about is always a good thing as well. So, okay, take us through showing property. What are you doing as you're pulling up to, like going inside? You know, what are you doing with your clients? What are you talking about? What does that look like?
I like to always go through the property before I go through with my clients. So I know, you know, the locations of all the bedrooms, and I just start from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys going back to maybe what their needs and wants are? Like maybe, you know, oh, you can see like this kitchen has, you know, the storage that you were looking for or something. Are you prioritizing anything like that?
For sure. And you always talk it up. I mean, if you know it's for sure not anything they want, then I tell them I'm, you know, be straightforward. But if it's something that you know is amazing, go in there and talk about how amazing it is. Be excited because then they get excited off of your emotions.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, the more that you can be uplifting and positive and excited for them, the better that they're going to feel too. So, um, like, are you walking around with them? I'm sorry, Kelly said, I try to talk as I'm doing things, even opening the door. I get them interested in looking around while I'm getting us inside. I bring out the positives that match their needs on what they're looking for. If I notice that they are missing some details, I try to point them out. That's absolutely right too. I love that explanation. The more that you can point out to them, revert them back to their wants and needs, be positive and uplifting, the better experience that it's going to be. And it is fun. Like, it'll be a blast to do. Let's talk about like where you are. Like I said, you don't want to follow them around either. You want to kind of like let them self-discover, let them explore a little bit, come back and meet you maybe in the kitchen, dining room, something like that. Or if they have questions, you can kind of like have a little backed off approach to it. So consider things like that too. Anybody got anything else on like showing property?
I let them kind of do what they want. I try to sit, you know, if they're in bedroom 1, then I'm in bedroom 2, and I make comments like, oh my word, this is perfect. Look how many windows, look at this view. So they already have seen it.
Right.
But then I'm pointing out the details as well.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Lisa, can you think of anything that you would add to showing property maybe?
Just try, like Paige said, you know, just try to give them as much details if they're missing anything, and have that upbeat attitude. And then just, you know, I would think you could be able to read their body language in their faces, if they're seeing things that they like or they don't like. And then just try to kind of pull that out of them, you know, what are they liking about the property? What are they not liking?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Kelly said you want them to ask questions on their problem solving. Yeah. And the more questions that you can ask too, the better, in my opinion. The more that you can remain curious, getting that curiosity out of them, like you said, Lisa, is really important. So now let's talk about like closing the buyer. So you went through all your properties, the ones that they don't like, maybe you did something creative and dramatic. And like I said, like Jeff does, kind of rip it up and not even make it an option anymore. Maybe you got a couple that they're going back and forth on. What are you doing to like close them, to get them to make that decision?
I'm honest with them. I mean, these properties are going so quick, you don't have time to wait around. So, you know, figure out if this is something you can live without. And if it is, then we need to place an offer on it, because it's not just going to wait around for us to make our decision.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys noticed anything with, you know, the way that our market has been recently, with it being very more fast paced and with maybe even COVID involved and stuff? What are you saying, because our market is working the way that it is, being fast paced to these buyers? Are you explaining multiple offers? You know, that's another thing too that we've seen a lot of.
Yes, for sure. And you have to also bring to their attention that, you know, we need to realize that we can't make a lot of stuff contingent right now. So inspection wise, that's one way we can try to get out of it, but even some aren't contingent on inspection at this point. So if you love the house, then beware that this is going to be your house.
Yes. And I like how you kind of give them a what to expect too, like this could happen and this could happen, you know, and making sure to explain all the possibilities, so that way, if, you know, like you said, if they're in love with the house, there's no heartbroken feelings or anything. Kelly said, I always explain real examples of offer issues and trends. I sometimes show proof from my phone, a screenshot of the board posting stats to prove my credibility and not come off as just a salesperson trying to make that sale. Yes, that's also a good thing. Anytime that you can use stats, I would use them, because that just shows that you are like really knowledgeable about our market, really knowledgeable about just real estate in general and how the transactions move through the processing. Like that can be so helpful and yet also so like calming to the buyers too. Yeah, they love for you to use your research, Kelly. That's absolutely right. What do you say to clients that look at property with you, but they at like the end of the experience, they say that they want to think about it?
Think quickly if it's one that I know that's going to go through. But if it's one that has been on the market for a while, then, take your time. I understand if there's anything new in the process. A lot of people need to talk to their spouse, not in front of me, and I respect that completely.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Paige. They wanna have that discussion without you. Um, when that happens, what is your like follow up look like? Like if they do say that they want to think about it and they break for a day, are you reaching out to them the next day, the next couple days?
The next day, usually.
Next day.
I see it that evening, then, I text this morning, hey, what are your thoughts? Do you have any concerns? Is it completely out of the deal, or do we need to look some more?
Yes, I love that.
And
all good questions too. And again, facing them with questions after, you've spent that time with them, that just allows you to gain more information to also process them as clients as well. So, what do you do with clients wanting to make a lowball offer? What are you explaining to them? Kelly, sorry, Paige, real quick. Kelly said, I always remind them that it is still their decision, but I go over again how important it is to be in the position to make a decision. I ask them how long they need and ask if there are any more questions that they need tended to, etc. We have many offers put in sight unseen, and I tell them that too. They could lose out of it if they wait too long. Yes, especially in the market that we have right now, Kelly. Absolutely. Being able to explain how fast it can just go can really make or break that deal. And what were you saying, Paige? I'm sorry.
I just asked them if they're making a lowball offer, do you want a home or are you wanting a good deal? Because if you're wanting a good deal, then this probably isn't a home for you because, it's going to be sold. So, don't waste our time putting in this lowball offer because probably not going to get accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Try talking them up, bring them back to reality of where a good price is. Show them. And what I do too before, if I can tell they're serious buyers for the house, I print out recently sold in the neighborhood, in the area, to show them it's priced well, or the price needs to go down, or it's priced so well that we're gonna begin a bidding more.
Right. I love that too, being able to have some comparables there to show just why it's positioned the way that it's positioned in the market. That can be a really helpful tool for them to make a decision on an offer, especially a lowball offer. I like also being able to bring up things like with lowball offers, bringing up that there might not be any room for repairs, no room to counter, even less likely to be accepted, to all of those things. Kelly said, low balls, this has happened, seriously offending a seller and they won't respond back. I check history as well before those questions come up. Yep, those are absolutely true, especially right now. I mean, I can't tell you how many times a day I hear agents, either upset or something because of a lowball offer or multiple offer situation, them not being prepared for it or something. And I think it's really important to talk about right now because it's happening.
Yeah, so just being honest and upfront with them about lowball offers,
Mm-hmm.
like you can put it in a very positive way, just to make them understand. Here's what we're looking at.
Yeah, no.
A big thing I like to tell them is if you want this house, we can start low, but also there's a big chance that we're going to, upset the sellers and they're not even going to want to respond to any other offers we have.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing in a situation where, like the property that they've possibly fallen in love with is a little bit higher in the range that you've done now in our market? I mean, if they've fallen in love with it, and they might not be able to pull the trigger as quickly as if it were, 20 grand cheaper or something. How is that conversation happening?
Yeah, I try not to show them overpriced unless I know they can do it.
Right. I've just had a conversation with somebody the other day, which is why I bring it up, because you got to be really careful with the ranges that you do provide, going off of their wants and needs, and being able to identify each of those wants and needs within the property that you're going to show. Now, granted, listings are low right now, so it are harder to get right now. So it might be a little bit of a picky and choosy situation. But I had an agent tell me the other day that because of where the inventory was, there was a little bit more homes on a higher range, even though it was within that range, and he, upset his clients over it. So I definitely would make sure that your range, is acceptable for them as well. So Kelly said I get them engaged as well as figuring out alternative ways to come up with the difference. Yeah, and you could get creative with that as well too. And like Lisa said, be honest, be upfront, and if you don't know the answer to certain things, just tell them like, I don't have the answer right now, but I will, and there's nothing wrong with saying that either. What do you do after the meeting and possible offer? Are you wishing them a good day? Are you filling out paperwork with them right now? I mean, walk me through that, especially in today's market.
Are we putting in an offer?
Yeah.
Then as soon as we leave, I go put in the offer.
Are you taking them back to your office to do paperwork with you, or are you doing it right there at the property?
I don't do it at the property. It depends what kind of time frame the buyers are on. If they're still going to be here, then yeah, we put an offer. If they left to think about it and then they decided, then I'm at the office and they're over the phone.
Yeah. I think those are great things. You don't necessarily have to take them back to the office, or you can meet up later. However you feel comfortable, depending on the situation too. Like you said, Paige, there might be a timing need, there might be a financial need, something like that. Just work with kind of what's been given to you, and make the best judgment that you can for the situation. I know that, on the first part of this class on Tuesday, people were saying, get it right now as soon as you can. I don't care where you're sitting. So Kelly said, I first start with what do you want in the offer, remind them of the consequences of what they are asking for, what is a good time frame to respond. I also tell them what to expect in the process. Yeah, all good things. Explaining what to expect. I like the question or conversation around what a good time frame might be for them to respond. I think that that's important as well. So those are all good examples too. Do any of you send anything to your clients that may not have worked out? You may have shown property, they didn't find anything, they were really stubborn people, they didn't want to work with you, or that win-win didn't get built. Are you sending anything to those clients, keeping them in your pipeline or anything like that?
Always send a thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important to even follow up with your no's, just because you don't know. I mean, there's always a possibility for a referral. There's always a possibility to generate new leads through that, even if it didn't personally work out with you. So I definitely keep it professional and maybe send like a follow-up thank you card or something. Kelly said I keep them on automated alerts in case they change their mind. They may come back around after they've settled down. Yeah, you could definitely set them on an automated, or any of your follow-ups too, because they could change their mind. I had Brandon tell us on Tuesday that he was working a FSBO, I think it was it a FSBO, Lisa? It might have been expired, but he was working on this lady since the day he started, and it was like no, just over and over again. And then finally he just kind of, to be funny, just kept calling her, and then he landed her, like, I think last week or something.
Like
just
week,
like
calling her.
Yeah, like just being consistent and following up, and that I just love that example. It's a true thing. Even you can only say no so many times before it might turn into a yes. So it's a good thing to follow up. Um, do you guys have anything else on having that appointment with the buyer and showing property? Do you guys bring up pre-qualification again at all, or see where they are in that process? I mean, you have rules that you work with where it's like, well, I can't go any further in my process before I know you're pre-qualified. I know that also came up on Tuesday's class.
I always just keep bringing it up, and I always bring a list of lenders. And as soon as we leave, or by the time we leave, I pretty much want them to tell me, hey, I'm calling them. And then, the next day I'll follow up saying, hey, or I'll even say, hey, do you want me to reach out to this lender and ask them any questions? So
Mm-hmm.
really push getting that appointment.
I
And
love that question too, Paige. Like offering to get their questions answered for them. Like that's a pretty cool question.
and telling them, hey, you can even fill out on Central Bank, you can fill out something online to, it's like the application or whatever, just to get the process started, and that automatically gives it to the lenders and then they start hassling them. So
Mm-hmm. Have you guys Kelly said I bring up finance stages and see where they are. We are really in the service industry, not sales. You have to serve your clients to get them to love you. Yes. I was going to say, does anybody talk about maybe what the inspection process is like, or the appraisal process, any of that?
yeah, I have like a buyer's folder that lists out like the appraisals and inspections and what can go wrong and what goes right, and show them what kind of inspections are kind of, important, and what other ones are options.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to go with that page, like considering having like a packet or a folder or something, just kind of breaking down what happens after an offer is submitted, what to expect with appraisals and inspections, what to expect maybe if another offer comes in, or if it's waterfront, like with incurables or a doc envelope, just anything that you could think of to kind of face that objection before it becomes an objection.
Mhm.
So just some thoughts there. Are you guys having are you facing any challenges currently, in the past couple weeks or anything with a buyer that was pretty unique?
Not really. The only problem is, not enough inventory.
Mm-hmm. Are you hearing that from clients that are looking, from buyers that are looking, just like the inventory issues, or is that just more internally your opinion?
I hear it from my clients for
Yeah.
sure. We find a house. What the problem is we find the house and it's good, but then they're going for 20,000 over asking price, and that puts us over the budget. So just
Yeah. Kelly said some buyers are financing main homes to buy more in a second home. Yeah, I've heard that that's happening too, Kelly. Which I find interesting considering, some of the lending stuff that's been going on. I was some buyers are financing main homes to buy more in a second home, dealing with one right now. Yeah. Is that extending the time frame, Kelly, for closing? I'm just curious. Is it like a financing thing? So they're trying to use more of the collateral? I'm just curious question. They're doing the financing first because their budget is too low. Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe even having some fears about utilizing what they might have in their, savings or whatever to rather than the collateral. So that would make sense. Do you guys have any more questions about the 5 stages of converting a buyer. I know that we kind of went through that kind of fast, but I want to go back to a buyer's agency real quick, Paige. I was just curious how you personally use a buyer's agency with what you've been handling with your buyers. I mean, do you use one at all? How do you slide it in to get a signed agreement?
Yeah, I usually do it at the offer.
At the offer?
Yeah. I don't want them to feel like they're forced to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, obviously when we put in an offer, they need to get it signed, but.
Hey, Bruce.
Hello.
Well, Bruce, can you tell me what you kind of do with buyers agencies? Are you getting them, you know, before you show property? Are you getting them when they do contracts?
No. I don't. I don't get them until we get into the process. Sometimes I don't even get them after I show them the first time or two.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. It's just me. Typically, I haven't had any clients jumping around to other agents. Typically, once I start showing them, they're there, so I don't really have to worry about it. But
yeah, I know a lot of our agents are kind of just waiting until the paperwork process and then they get it then. I was just curious if anybody got it ahead of time. I think that you guys should try.
You're supposed to.
I mean, yeah, you're supposed to. I think it just secures your position, you know. And I like how Mel, like when she kind of talks about it, she talks about how, you know, if she's bringing value and if she's working her butt off to find the properties to go look at and things like that, then why wouldn't they use her as their agent kind of thing? I mean, I know it's kind of bold sometimes, but it works. I mean, just don't be afraid to be creative. You can even put it back on our office even, you know, like it's kind of RE/MAX policy that we have something signed. I mean, just don't be afraid to be creative with it. Kelly said, I lost a few clients waiting too long. You want them to work with you, not someone else. You or the client can fire each other if things don't work out. Exactly. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, they can still get out of it. So I would just try and have kind of a disciplined business rule that it's just kind of something that you should try to get every time. So does anybody else have any questions? I wanted to include just some action items for the class again, just because I think that they're kind of good key reminders of things that you can do when you have a little bit of downtime, which I know it's summer and none of us really have a lot, but eventually fall will come around and things will slow down just a little bit. So I would definitely work on like developing whatever system or process if you don't have one, especially if you're new, like developing your 47 vital buyers activities or your find to close checklist of some kind. Find one and make it your own, take the one out of the book and redo it if you want to. But those I think are really helpful. I'm a person that I like to check things off from paper. So it's always a good thing in my opinion to have kind of a checklist. You can create a buyer's packet or develop one too, or redo your buyer's packet, maybe update it a little bit. You could produce some outstanding qualifying questions. Again, each time, I know a couple agents that I've been working with that are newer, each time that they've been working with clients, they've been paying attention to kind of the questions that have been coming up and tracking it. You can do that too, and then redo your pre-qualifying question sheets or your criteria sheets or something like that. You can call me if you're going to an appointment and you need help getting on the listing channel, which is just getting your mind right. If you need a little positivity boost, give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to be like, you can do it, you know. Share some recent buyers needs, maybe in the next class if you jot down some of the needs or wants that came up and share them next time. I think that would be really cool. We can even role play some dialogue if you want. And then you can also do a buyer's guide. And we've had templates and they're still in pipeline. I just pulled them the other day from James Woods. When he came a couple years ago, he gave us his buyers and sellers guides. I know Jeff and Jason, their teams have buyers and sellers guides that they've kind of redone. Don't be afraid to take those. And if you want examples, I can definitely give you some, and you can have it and create your own. So, and then also just remember to follow up, do thank you cards, do thank you videos, just whatever you're comfortable with. So you guys have any questions? Good class. We really went over a lot of great stuff in the first part too. A lot of COVID and what we kind of talked about today came out. So
Sorry I was so late to join.
you're okay, Bruce. No worries. Thanks for coming in.
All
Talking
right.
about buyers agencies.
Well,
Remember, guys, that I record these trainings too, so I'll post this video on YouTube and I'll share it on social media. So anytime you need to rehash, go to our YouTube channel and pull up the videos and whatever area you may need help with. So
Sounds good.
I hope you all have an awesome Thursday. Thank you so much for coming.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.